Then you have both Richie Garcia and Tony Ruiz, who scored 3 goals in his last 3 matches as we get underway. And up front for the forwards, you've got Ocean Solari, Connor Lisenby, and making his first start as a Mustang, Al-Hassan Al-Sakati. We talked with Steve Sampson before this match got underway, and he had a lot to say about Al-Sakati getting the opportunity. Right now, the Highlanders trying to establish some possession game very early on, just 34 seconds into the first half.
And what's important about this difference and change in the Cal Poly lineup today is they're actually playing a box midfield, which is a bit unusual for them. Coach Sampson, he's so clouded in the soccer world. He's coached at such high levels that he's able to change up lineups, change up formations game to game. And you see that today when we had the chance to talk to him before today's match. He actually said they'd practiced a certain formation and a certain game plan, and he didn't like it. He was talking to the other coaches after practice, called the team back at 3 p.m. yesterday and said, you know what, guys, we're going to change it to now what they're presenting at. And I love that. That's a confident coach that's going to do the necessary things to ensure a win when it's really needed.
I couldn't agree more, Grace. That is exactly who Steve Sampson is, having been around him for the better part of 3 seasons from 2016 through 2018. I was here for all of the home matches, and then I traveled down to Santa Barbara for that blue-green rivalry matchup. And here we've got the Highlanders starting to build an attack here in the middle of the midfield. This is Christian Seha. Pass now goes out to the right of the field, and they try a shot outside the box and sails over the crossbar. That looked like an early shot from Andrew Alexander.
And this is one of my keys to the match for UC Riverside. They are going to have success if they can get to that width and send crosses in. Cal Poly this entire season, game to game, even though they've been improving, we get a look back at the replay first. We see a nice cross in. Kind of looked like a shot cross. We call that a schross
right.
in soccer. It's an unofficial term. But anyways, as I was saying, for them, Cal Poly has shown that they don't min-mark when crosses are coming in, which is just like a simple thing that needs to be executed. So if UC Riverside can get some crosses in from the width, and they have these players like Lopez, this is a imposing body, then they're going to be able to get some goals tonight.
Foul just called on UC Riverside by the head referee, Rene Nunez. The 2 linesmen are Ali Haycock and Eder Alvarez. The 4th official in charge of the substitutes by the bench. In the background is Oscar Ambriz, and the observer of the referees is Deb Brock. And as for the Highlander starters, no changes except for one significant one, which we will get to in a moment. Their starting keeper, Carlos Gonzalez, junior out of Santa Ana. And in their back line, we have Alexander Vukovic, Brendan Clark, Adrian Meade-Tatum, Fremar Omarson, and Alexander, who we saw taking the first shot of the match away, playing a bit further up. The midfield has the big change, which we'll get to in just a moment, as the Highlanders again are trying to shoot, and that attempt blocked by the back line. Excellent coverage by the Mustangs, who were in black with the yellow numbers. They try once again, and that is nicely broken up by Bitton for the Mustangs.
And Cal Poly's already doing something that when we talked to Coach Sampson before the match, he said he thought in the last game that they gave the team too much space. They were on their heels defensively. I would like to see Cal Poly with a little bit higher pressure defensively, not letting players dribble at them, especially when you're in that last third for your team, that defensive third.
Absolutely, Grace, and the Highlanders did a good job there of breaking up an attempt at a Mustang counterattack.
And the counterattack is going to be on today because UC Riverside plays with 3-back, which means there's going to be space in behind. And their wingers for UC Riverside, those outside mids get really high, especially number 19, Clark. I rate him so high as an all-around baller, and he gets almost to the forward line. So there's going to be spaces in the counterattack.
Train zooming by behind us. Meanwhile, the Mustangs again trying to establish possession. UC Riverside doing a good job so far of breaking most of it up. And here they are stringing together a pass ahead to Penate. Cuts to the left. Now it's out to Clark. And that is broken up nicely by Cal Poly, with Lieber getting right on it. So in the midfield for the Highlanders, the big change is Carlos Osorio's in the matchup. There's a attempted a cross, one bounce, and that is good, solid keeping by Gonzalez for the Highlanders to get right on it.
And I like that early cross from Solari. When you can send that early cross in behind all the defenders on the back line, it can be really dangerous. So I love that look for Cal Poly in the beginning minutes of the match.
And here come the Highlanders right away. This is Issa Badawia cutting the right now to the left. Ahead is Lopez. He is onside. Lets it go to the corner. And it ends up going off of Labor out of bounds. If I'm not mistaken, they're going to say this is a throw. Scoreless here in the 6th minute of action between the Mustangs and the Highlanders in Big West Conference play. The Mustangs just have the one win on the year. That was a 2-1 victory exactly a week ago here at home against UC Irvine. More solid defending by Lieber. I cannot say enough about his intensity and effort from what I've seen so far this year. Cuts it inside to Lisenby, who's fouled hard. UC Riverside, meanwhile, is 3-6-2 overall. They are 2-1 in conference action, so a little bit of ahead of the Mustangs in the table. Labor's got a nice strong boot, but nobody there in the box for Cal Poly. Easy pickings for Gonzalez. Back to the change. Osorio, we mentioned, is in the midfield for the Highlanders, and he is replacing in the midfield Leopoldo Hernandez for the Highlanders, who leads the team in assists. This was a change that neither one of us really expected to see. Hernandez, as some of you Mustang fans might remember from last year, also scored the game-winning goal in the Mustangs' 1-0 playoff loss here on this pitch.
And I'm assuming Hernandez has some kind of nagging injury. I saw him warming up, so I'm expecting him to come into the game today. And this is a baller. He's really creative on the ball. He's able to dribble and distribute. A great chance here for UC Riverside with that ball over the top.
Absolutely. Badawia had it for a split second and then broken up right away by Cal Poly.
Penner there does a great job coming off his line to ensure that the ball doesn't go in, and he beats the attacker for UC Riverside.
Already a hometown favorite here. Penner out of Napomo, which is the south part of this county. And here he is in all yellow in the keeper position. This right here is Seha. Playing it up to Clark. Nice cross in the middle, and that is off of bitten over the goal line, so this will be the first corner of the match late in the 8th minute.
And it looked like there Clark actually had an open runner near post. If he could have looked up and seen his feet there, it looked like he was opting to just send a ball in potentially around the back line. Didn't end up working out. But those are the little things you want to see these players pick their head up and find the player's feet that's open in the box.
Badawia will take this corner kick from the near flag. The other Highlander midfielders, Seha and Panade. Kick is taken a bit short, and the Mustangs clear, but it goes off of Richie Garcia over the goal line, so they will do the corner kick again. And the lone Highlander forward in their formation is Noah Lopez, and Steve Sampson did talk to us about this formation a little bit before the game got underway, saying how they only play with the one forward up top. So here's number 2 from Badawia. Nice header out of the side of the box on the Mustangs part of it, and that again is bitten. He's been getting in play quite a bit so far. You love to see that, but again it goes off of the Mustangs over the same goal line, so they will try a third corner this time from the far side flag. And it appears that Clark will take this one. Of course, so often you see different players taking corners depending on which foot is the strongest. The hand is down. Here comes the cross. It's off of the head of Lisenby, and one shot does sail over the goal line. Now we have a Mustang goal kick.
And that's a pretty decent effort by Vukovic there, because he's looking away from goal. It's almost like a bicycle kick without falling on the ground. That's really hard to score. It's kind of just the idea of getting anything on it.
Sure. On the other hand, though, you can't fault the players for occasionally trying that out. You see all sorts of highlight reel shots from time to time with bicycle kicks and all.
And especially on corners, you want to have your attackers getting on the ball no matter what. So if the ball ends up going behind you, that's better than letting it drop and letting it get cleared. So I have no problem with him trying a kind of makeshift bicycle kick.
Highlanders with the majority of the possession so far, so it would seem. Osorio tries switching the field. Give and go here. They get around Lisenby for Cal Poly. Nice patience. Osorio back to Meade Tatum. And they switch the field again. Nice idea. Can he save it? Yes, he can. Panade, excellent effort. And a slight miscommunication there, but no harm done as Meade Tatum gets to the ball hit behind. Clark trapped in the corner by Labor. That is an easy call to make on the part of the referee. This is potentially a dangerous free kick, although on the other side, you've got it close to the goal line, so sometimes that angle can be tough.
It's a pretty dangerous area here. I'm expecting Cal Poly to have a big heads-up play to try to get it out. UC Riverside's doing a great job so far mixing up how they're going into the attack, which is making it harder for Cal Poly to defend because they're unpredictable.
So there it is, Badawia, but cleared right away. And here on the counter is Ocean Solari. He's got lots of speed. Gets past one defender, Panade. Keeps going into the attacking third. And finally, Osorio stops play. And when it's all said and done, it will be a foul on Solari, but you've got to love the intensity there and the effort.
And Solari will always opt for his dribble. I appreciate that. You need players on the field who will. Sometimes I think he needs to pass earlier. He's a bit isolated there, though, and I like the boldness, the confidence. There's 3 players, and you're still taking it towards goal. It's what Cal Poly needs to get some momentum back because it seems like so far UC Riverside has control of the ball, has control of the game, dictating the pace of the game, where the ball is going. So you want players building confidence, being able to see him now defending it with extreme intensity. So it's going to help Cal Poly get more into this game.
Clark from the back part of the midfield ends up hitting it over the far touchline. The Mustangs will have a throw-in. And they take it quick. Nice long ball to Labor. Garcia battling one-on-one against Vukovic, and it looks like there might have been a handball there.
I think it was a high kick. I think Vukovic had a high kick.
Looks like temporarily play has been blown dead as Cal Poly's Lisenby going back to the bench. He may have gotten banged up somewhere along the line. And they are indeed going to try to hustle out a substitute to replace him. This will be the first sub here in the match with the clock stopped in the 14th minute. And hustling on in his place for the Mustangs is Max Kleinhamus, senior from Aliso Viejo, one of the few seniors on this squad. Most of the Mustangs this year, freshmen and sophomores, a large majority of them, many of you know by now. And the free kick by Ruiz, nicely contained by the Highlanders, and they will earn a free kick in the defensive half, and the Mustangs foul to stop the counter. So far, not a lot of touches from Carlos Ruiz for the Mustangs. Of course, if you go back to the goal that he scored really early on against Cal State Fullerton on Wednesday, that was his 3rd goal in 3 games, and that is the longest streak for any Mustang player since Manny Perez scored 7 goals over a 5-game stretch in 2019. So we'll eventually find out if Ruiz can keep that streak going or at the very least help his team to what would be a significant win.
And Ruiz has definitely been coming into form, not just with scoring. What Coach Sampson was saying before the game, and I see this as well, Garcia and Ruiz in midfield together really complement each other, and it's really important, especially with a season where you're not having a lot of success in the attack, that you start finding players that are making each other look good, finding success building through the thirds of the field. And Garcia with his craftiness, with his ability on the ball, and Ruiz with his ability to finish that we're seeing now, as well as his ability to distribute and get into the attack. They're a good match together in the midfield.
Yeah, certainly that midfield chemistry is so important, especially with all of the balls that could be won or lost. That is a tiny challenge for Gonzalez, but he scoops the ball up no problem and shows that he can throw it out with the best of anybody. Badawia in a bit of trouble with a couple of defenders surrounding him, but the Highlanders do well to contain the ball and keep possession there.
UC Riverside is doing a really good job so far this game at switching the point of attack when they're getting stuck in one side. So often you see teams trying to force it down one side, but you keep seeing them switch it between their back line, their midfields, even sending a few long balls across the field. This makes them a lot more dangerous because they're making Cal Poly shift back and forth, which is going to create gaps throughout the field.
And that long ball goes out. Ruiz had one of his first touches of the match there, but quickly intercepted by UC Riverside. And they tried a ball from Alexander into the box, and it looked like it was going out for a minute, but the Highlanders still keep it in play. Excellent hustle from Badawia. And also a great job to break that up, Nate Cawley. And eventually Bitton gets it out of there and says, enough of this. The downside, though, is another UC Riverside corner kick. This is already the fourth of the match for them. But you have to give some credit to Cal Poly's keeper, Gabe Penner, who's organizing the troops. He's done an excellent job of that, especially this first year that he's gotten significant playing time. Kick again, contained for the moment by the Mustangs, and Lieber can't get it out, but Kleinhamus with a key touch, and he ends up going to the ground, and a foul is called.
And Cal Poly seems to be struggling so far with the way that UC Riverside is having the ability to pass around them. As I was saying before, when they're dynamic and changing the way they're building through the thirds of the field, it seems like Cal Poly hasn't found their footing defensively yet on where they can stop the ball, where they can have that hold on the field that they're saying they're not going to get past this line of play.
Nice give and go with Clark. And they string it out to Lopez, but won quickly back by Cal Poly's Garcia. Now we have Lieber across the halfway line. Switch the field. Great job for Solari to get there, even though the defender's right on his tail, and this turns into a Cal Poly throw-in. Very positive. Give and go back to Solari. Around a defender, now inside the box. Tries the cross and blocked. Now cutting backwards. Behind him is Al Sakati, again getting his first start as a Mustang, the freshman from Roseville. Ball back to the 18. Ping pong back and forth, and that was a bit of an interesting clearance from the Highlanders. Definitely not their first choice for a clearance, but they got it out nonetheless.
He got it out. That's the most important thing. And Kleinhamus, I like the idea of trying to turn and create an opportunity at net there because he's already in the box in range to have a goal.
So Lieber will throw it in from the near touchline, and I've seen enough of him to know that if he wants to, he can definitely throw it far into the goal box. That is exactly what he did right there. Header from the Highlanders. Again, they try to clear Lieber, and a long touch goes over the goal line. Goal kick for UC Riverside.
And the way that the two different styles of play match up between Cal Poly and UC Riverside tonight, I'm expecting UC Riverside to hold more possession, which means Cal Poly can be okay with that. You don't win games only off winning the percentage of possession. But if Cal Poly can get scoring opportunities when they get those few passes stringing together towards net off the counterattack or off the quick attack when they're getting the ball, that's what's going to be important, is making sure they're getting scoring opportunities even though they're not out possessing.
You could also argue that's how UC Riverside got their win over UC San Diego. Back on October 5th, they won that one 1-0 despite being outshot 14-8. They also only had 2 corner kicks for the match. UC San Diego had 9. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, though, to Grace's point, if you have the lead at the end of 90 minutes. Far touchline, Solari trying to cut in. That's blown dead, and a free kick for the Highlanders, who are in all white, by the way, with the blue numbers. Poly is in all black with the yellow numbers, I should say. You certainly have to love the effort from Lopez to try to keep the ball against the Cal Poly defense. He does so well enough, and Lieber eventually clears from the 18.
And that's exactly what you want your center forward to do. When you're a lone center forward, you have to be able to hold up play because you have to have your team have time to run up towards you when you get the ball by yourself. And multiple times in this match, we've seen that quality from him, his ability to hold up even with a lot of pressure on his back.
Almost to the midway point of the first half. Still no score between Cal Poly and UC Riverside. Lieber's throw comes right in as Garcia's double-teamed, but he gets out of that nicely. Butcher. Give and go. He goes to the left side of the field. The defender's still sharing the ball here. And some would call that a poor giveaway. Badawia's UC Riverside ahead to Lopez. Lopez around a defender. Great chance to score, but it's just over the crossbar by about a foot. That did not miss by much. Mustangs have to breathe a big sigh of relief there.
And Lopez is going to want that one back because that's a must finish. He gets in great. He has the hustle to get the touch. We see the playback. Has the physical ability to make it happen. Opens his hips up in a way that I liked so he can bend it around the keeper who's coming out, but unfortunately unable to finish. And Cal Poly, just like we talked about earlier, when they can't execute those little things, you're giving the ball away in your own defensive third. It's okay to pass the ball away. Every player does it, but you never want to do it where it's creating a counterattack where they're getting a shot on goal within 1 or 2 passes.
Finally, the ball goes back to ground for Garcia. Lieber now ahead to Kleinhamus. He's got some speed. To the goal line, tries the cross, and it's picked up. A nice stop by Gonzalez for the Highlanders.
And I like the energy Kleinhamus has brought into the game since that early sub from the potential injury. He's working hard offensively and defensively, and they're having a little bit of hesitation to get his cross off. It worked really well.
Kleinhamus, all things considered, a pretty solid year. 1 goal. That came back on September 5th against Houston Baptist here at home. Senior, as we mentioned, out of Aliso Viejo, transferred from Irvine Valley College. Certainly you like to see this pressure from the Cal Poly forwards. Riverside gradually starting to get the ball into the middle third, and they won't be able to keep it.
And if Cal Poly can isolate them like they did right there, not allow them to switch the point of attack, and that means you're forcing your body as a defender to stay in this side of the field, they're going to be able to get the ball back just like they did there. But when they're defending with their open hips and allowing them to change the point of attack, ball's just going to keep getting passed around Cal Poly.
Nice header from Alsacati, 6'3". But the Highlanders do well to get it back to Gonzalez to get it out of the box for the time being. Nice save by Lopez at the line, and that results in a Riverside throw. Correction, that was actually Pranate with the save. Oh, nice idea from Labor. Brilliant up to Kleinhaus. Making something out of nothing off of the back of a teammate's foot. Ahead from Garcia. Highlanders deflect, and Labor just watches that go over the near touchline for a throw.
And I'd like to see Lieber keep getting into the attack because he's really dynamic and really dangerous, and he can pick up that speed, and it's hard when you have an outside back picking up speed, running into the attack. For the other team, it's hard to tell who should step to this guy while he's running through the lines of defense.
We'll likely see another long throw from Labor here. We'll see if some of these midfielders can get ahead on the ball or at least bring the ball down to touch. There it is. One bounce and just to the right of the near post.
And it looked like a handball.
Yeah, and
the ref's not happy with the descent, it looks like.
Yeah, Ori Bitten is giving the head referee, Rene Nunez, a piece of his mind here. He thought there was a handball, and he's going to get a yellow card for dissent.
We get a look back at it now. Long throw in. It's hard to tell there because it does. I think it could be a PK because it's changing the way the ball's going, but it's hard to tell because it is close to his body, and often refs won't call it if it's close enough to his body.
I agree, Grace. It is hard to tell from that angle. Nonetheless, you will have the Mustangs with a corner kick. That comes in, but right into the hands of Gonzalez for the Highlanders, and they get off to the races here with a quick toss.
But if it does change the path of the ball, you usually do see some kind of call there. So I can understand why Cal Poly had a little bit of an argument with the ref.
Certainly there's been some interesting moments here at Spanos with the soccer referees. I remember there was one match I did here a few years back against, I believe it was UC Davis, and they were going to clinch the league title potentially with a win, and they ended up getting that win with only a handful of seconds left in double overtime back when we still had overtime at this level. And after I got off the air, I thought that the goal was legitimate, and somebody showed me the replay, and it appeared that the Davis player had hit the ball with his fist.
Oh, no.
Similar to, if I can remember the name, Maradona.
Right. Oh, no.
A few decades ago from Argentina, of course, and it looks like we have a hydration break here in the 27th minute. Still no score between Cal Poly. Actually, it may not necessarily be a hydration break. We've got a Mustang who appears to be a little bit shaken up. This is Bitten. Trainer's looking at him. That's why the play is stopped. But nonetheless, an opportunity for the players to get a drink and get some instruction from the coaches, which is not always a guaranteed thing in the middle of a half in soccer. And it also looks like we may get one sub each when play comes back underway. I do see those players waiting by the table, and there's the horn, so we'll try to get you those numbers. Still trying to see. So the Riverside sub is Luka Lukic. He's a redshirt sophomore out of Belgrade, Serbia. As for the Mustangs, they're going to bring in Eric Cabrera Trujillo, who is a junior out of Marina, California. Cabrera Trujillo has played in 6 matches so far coming into this game. Currently the Highlanders with the ball in the midfield. Clark Up the near line to Badawia. Great find. Badawia cutting inside, tries the cross in. And where would the Mustang defense be without Oscar Bade, who cleared that out?
And Badawia does a great job directly dribbling towards inline at an angle. It's hard to defend when a player has that much pace and ability on the ball going straight towards inline to create the cross.
My apologies. I think you're right, Grace. It is Bowdy. I'll try to get that right going forward. It's off of Ruiz for the Mustangs. So Riverside will again throw it in. That goes ahead to Lukic just off the bench, and his shot deflected off of a Mustang. Yet another UC Riverside corner kick. Now in the 28th minute of play. Nice footwork.
I love the idea there to try to chip it over that last defender for Cal Poly. And Cal Poly's done a good job with that last-ditch defending, but it is a little bit sketchy in college soccer. The more corners you allow, most times there's players that can, head a goal in or have the ability to create something.
Corner comes in, and they say, yes, it did go over the goal line. That's what I thought I saw there. So no chance for Omerson for the Highlanders to do anything with that, and the Mustangs will bring on another substitute before this goal kick. This is Listenby, one of the starters. He was banged up a while ago with what seemed to be a minor tweak. Klein Hammes came in to replace him, and now Klein Hammes comes back to the bench, but very positive off the bench for Max. Entered into the circle. Bowdy caught up with a couple Highlanders on his tail. And the Mustangs do well to reassess that ball. Few other Big West Conference matchups going on right now in men's soccer. UC Santa Barbara, who is in first place in the conference with 2 wins, no losses, and a draw. They're hosting Cal State Fullerton, who beat the Mustangs a few nights ago. That match also got underway at 7, as did the other 3. They're going to whistle a foul there on Panade. Actually, it was on Lukic, referee giving him a bit of a warning. We also have CSUN, who has a 2-1 conference record, hosting UC Davis. UC Irvine is hosting Sacramento State. Both teams are at 1-2 in the conference, and then CSU Bakersfield in dead last at 0-2-1, hosting UC San Diego, which has the 1-2 conference record. For many years, it seems to be who can beat UC Santa Barbara in the conference championship. The Gauchos have just been so dominant historically as of late. Of course, the Mustangs with a crushing result at home to them a few weeks back. And those two teams will play again in just a matter of weeks down in Isla Vista.
And I'd like to see Cal Poly in the attack just find the shorter range passing. These defenders for Cal Poly are opting for these long balls when they have 1 or 2 players checking towards the ball. Just find that easier pass and build through the attack by threading the ball through rather than trying that, more risky, sometimes it doesn't pay off, long ball, trying to beat that back line for UC Riverside.
That's a really good point, Grace. I have seen a lot of teams, maybe without as much experience as you would like to, sometimes try the long balls a bit more, and it rarely ever seems to pay off.
And it's such a common style of play in, D1 men's soccer. We see it all over the board in all these different conferences, but Coach Sampson doesn't necessarily coach like the rest of the teams here, and I do think they're having midfielders, they're having Solari, they're having Garcia checking to the ball. Just find them at their feet. They're both crafty players. Allow them to create something. When you're sending these players long balls, it's kind of taking away from their strengths, which is the ball at their feet.
Good header from Cabrera Trujillo off the bench for Cal Poly. But The Highlanders still have the ball. Osorio cutting to the right. Lots of room. He tries from distance, and that misses way off to the left.
And so much time and space for Osorio there. It's surprising. And to what we were saying that Coach Sampson said before the match, Cal Poly has got to defend higher up the field. He takes 1, 2, 3, 4 long touches before he gets a shot off with minimal pressure going directly towards goal. I like the idea there because he sees the space and attacks, but for Cal Poly, they've got to be better on minimizing that amount of touches he's having in space and time.
Cabrera Trujillo, by the way, just got back on the bench. Ori Bitten is back in. He got shaken up in the goal box a few minutes ago and then had a lengthy discussion with the head referee about a possible handball. We did not see enough on the instant replay to determine conclusively that Bitten was in the right. Despite some of those long balls that you were mentioning, Grace, it does seem like the Mustangs have been threading together a bit more possession compared to the first few minutes. And certainly they have had some opportunities to throw the ball in this deep on the attacking third.
One thing I feel like Cal Poly is still finding moving into the attack is how do we make our teammates look good? Because often with Solari, he's such a specific kind of player. I feel like they haven't found a way to make him look good. He could have a lot of assists this season if they were setting him up for success, and vice versa, Solari setting up his teammates for success.
Headed right out of the box by the Highlanders. And going down to ground hard was Bitten. But the Mustangs recover. That was a nice, promising ball from Azakati, I believe. It just sailed over the head of his teammate, and not a lot there, but...
And I like the way Solari sets this up, gets that little wiggle away from the defender. Again, I can't fully tell if that's a shot or a cross, but I like the idea there in the attack. And again, when they're getting these chances in between the possession for UC Riverside, they've got to get the shot on goal.
Couldn't agree more. That was Solari, on the cross in. Meanwhile, the Mustangs foul on the edge of the attacking third. They're going to call that on Nate Cawley. This will have a little bit of distance on it, this free kick, but still not the most ideal angle to defend if you're Cal Poly. Just over 10 minutes left in this first half. It's Cal Poly 0, UC Riverside 0. Several promising opportunities from both sides, but not really necessarily any acrobatic saves. The goalkeepers haven't necessarily had to work as hard as they could be. The Badawia by the ball and heading it in for the Highlanders. Noah Lopez, if I'm not mistaken. We'll try to get confirmation on that. Excuse me, it's Omarson.
And we get a look back at it now. Omarson does such a good job here. I love this little chip ball. You don't need it to be too high. And Omarson, you see the way he torques his core and his body and shifts that head. So right when the ball's hitting your head, he can just hit it over the keeper. A great executed play here.
Easier said than done, but it also seemed like he went unmarked just a tad. And sometimes that's key on those headers.
And that's nothing new for Cal Poly. This is something we've been seeing, not good enough marking with crosses. But that little chip ball, it's not very easy. When you're in a short-range chip, it's a really good setup ball there to create that finish.
That is Omarson's first goal of the 2022 season here in the 35th minute. The Highlanders up 1-0. And now we will see Leopoldo Hernandez for the Highlanders coming on for the first time this match. Again, we were surprised that he was out of the lineup because he leads the team in assists, but here he is. And now he's got the ball. The Highlanders quickly trying to add to this lead. Hernandez cutting in and nicely broken up by Butcher for the Mustangs. Ahead to Solari. But taken right back through the wickets, Clark. Getting turned around, Panade. And that's taken right away by Garcia for Cal Poly. Solari trying to keep it in play, and he cannot. You have to love the effort. Certainly it would have been best for the Mustangs to try to keep the speed of the ball going. and work the ball further up.
With 10 minutes just left in the half and Cal Poly conceding a goal, it's going to be really interesting to see how they respond. I would like to see them put their foot on the gas, really hunt for a goal before halftime. Fighting through that adversity is something they've done all season.
Defense winning the ball for the Mustangs here at home, and they will switch the field out to Body. Back to Penner at the line. Does well to not hit that out of bounds. Bade. Now switching the field, Garcia all the way out to Solari, and he's got some room. Solari inside the box. 2 defenders on and make it 3. Still cutting in. And some contact around the goal line. They're going to say for the moment that it's a goal kick, however.
And that was a great heads-up play by Garcia. They'd strung a few passes together on that outside. We see Solari here. Ended up hitting it out of bounds, trying to dribble in line. A little bit of contact, but I don't think that's a PK. But Garcia, realizing they're kind of getting stuck on that left side of the field, immediately has his head up and has a beautiful ball to Solari. And this is what I love about Garcia as a player. When he gets the ball, whether he steals it, his reaction time and his ability to make quality decisions quickly moving into the attack is really high level.
No question. Drew Patterson has just come into the match for the Mustangs, his first action of the night. Had the ball briefly. Now trying to get position is Bitten. He is fouled. Kleinheim is also back in and near the front of the Mustangs formation. This ball is intended for him, but just gets past him. And again, Gonzalez, the keeper for the Highlanders, picks the ball up. Mustangs winning it back in the midfield. Here's Ruiz. Not a lot from him so far this first half. Back for one cross. In from Bitten, but nobody could get to it.
And there weren't many players in the box there. Sometimes when there's less players, it's better to go inline so you can have that slot pass where you have a long-range cross with 1 or 2 players in the box. It can be hard to find them.
Hernandez for the Highlanders. Out to Clark. Can't get through the double team. Lieber intercepts for the Mustangs. Now ahead to Patterson. Too hard of a touch, though. Patterson still trying to win the ball back from Vukovic for the Highlanders. Can't quite do it.
And I like what UC Riverside is doing right now. They're slowing the pace of the game down. Cal Poly's getting a little bit more possession. Let's slow it down. Let's possess. Ideally, they have to keep the ball. They find it again. But when you're up 1-0 going into half, you want to keep that lead. You want to keep that momentum. You want to keep Cal Poly on that back heel running after your possession style of play.
Hernandez certainly trying to keep the possession going for the Mustangs. Lieber breaks it up for Cal Poly and gets a nice big round of applause from what's a pretty sizable crowd on a Saturday night here at Alex G. Spana Stadium. Two teams sharing possession at the moment. It continues to go back and forth, and now we have Ruiz trying to find Patterson, but instead getting to it was Meade Tatum, back to the keeper, Gonzalez.
And Cal Poly keeps sending these long balls for Patterson when Meade Tatum's ready and in position to stop them. Instead, they could find Patterson's feet. He has that body and that ability on the ball, and then pass it back and then potentially put it over the top of Meade Tatum. But when you're putting it over the top when Meade Tatum's already in position, it's hard to get it.
Just over 5 minutes left in the first half. UC Riverside is up 1-0 after the goal from Fremar Omarsson in the 35th minute of play. Header found the back of the net. He was unmarked in the box, excuse me. For the Mustangs, this is Bitten. Now Butcher. Lieber finds Garcia. Almost had it broken up, but they get it back to the outside. Ruiz, long ball. Patterson not able to get past the defenders. And after all that, it is a foul whistled on the Mustangs.
And a pretty good ball there by Ruiz, but not enough numbers in the box, because if you only have one runner really in contention, you can't have that near post, middle, and back post run available if that ball doesn't go straight to the person in the box.
Kick goes out of bounds. Mustangs will have a throw near midfield. Little hesitation from Bowdy, but he gets it in. Bitten. And coming hard was Ruiz. That's a foul. So somewhat of a promising free kick here. It's a few yards away from the edge of the attacking third, more or less. There's a lot you can do with that. Right now the Mustangs have 4 players on the 18, make it 6. They'll bring some numbers further up. And Bitten will also come in on the line. Ruiz will take it. Shoots it right in. Almost found a teammate. And they almost string together a nice header. Bitten's header goes right over the crossbar. Very positive, but just couldn't find the back of the net.
And a great opportunity here for Cal Poly. I like that hustle play to make sure each player is getting on the ball. You've seen a clearance that doesn't get far enough out. Kleinham is able to get it in. And Bitten, I love that header. That's a hard header. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to flick than try to turn your body all the way around, but that's a better look for Cal Poly, and I like that they're linking. Because that's one thing that we haven't seen consistently game to game. Players linking in the attack for Cal Poly.
Just over 2 minutes to go now in half number 1. A little bit of pushing here in the air, but Colley for the Mustangs not able to win it. It's Hernandez, his touch blocked. Riverside's trying to string together one more goal if they can. Osorio, nice long ball ahead, cutting into Bautista. Diego Bautista off the bench. Cal Poly eventually clears that out.
And Cabrera Trujillo did a great job there, making sure that his body was between him and that runner coming on.
Header from Omarsson, the goal scorer. Touch keeps it in play. Now Hernandez. Nobody there for the long ball. Miscommunication for the visiting team. And 1 minute left in the half. Can the Mustangs find a way to start a quick counter before time runs out? This is Lieber. Ahead to Garcia. Try the give and go. No, it's out of bounds. Great flick from Lukic. Clark now wide open, tries to cut it into the right, and a nice block from Colley for the Mustangs. He was in exactly the right position. 30 seconds left in the half.
And if Clark could have just put a little chip on that to get it over that defender's head, it may have been easier to get it through that back line, dropping for Cal Poly.
Lukic losing the ball, and now he's whistled for a foul. But the Mustangs won't have a lot to do with this ball with 12 seconds left, and it's a freebie, and they're understandably taking their time trying to kick this in. Not even sure if Penner will kick it in at all. He just picks it up, And that is it for the first half. UC Riverside, nothing playoff loss in the Big West tournament last year with Andrew Forth's missed penalty kick after the goal was wide open as the second half now starts. Then Leopoldo Hernandez comes in and ends up scoring his goal off of a missed penalty kick that was saved, and then Hernandez got into it, found the back of the net. And yet they find themselves down by the same deficit, and it really, the point that you were making in the first half is Riverside had a lot of scoring opportunities, and Cal Poly just didn't quite seem to match all that with all of their long balls.
And I think Cal Poly's getting beaten in the midfield so far this game, which doesn't necessarily need to happen. Cal Poly does have good midfielders, so I'd like to see the midfield be a bit more dominant, a bit more gritty, but as well, dictate the pace of the game. You want your midfielders to be like a quarterback. You want them to be able to speed up, calm down play, and be able to have that vision on what the team needs.
The Mustangs will throw it in. This is Body. Again, Riverside scored their one goal at 35th minute, courtesy of a header from Fremar Omarson, as Gonzalez has to send that ball into the bleachers. Not what he wanted. He's shaking his fist in disgust, not liking the defensive breakdown there, just 50 seconds almost into the second half. That was Gonzalez. We've switched sides. UC Riverside again is in all white with the blue numbers, and Cal Poly is in all black with the yellow or gold numbers.
And Vukovic there just with not a great back pass to Gonzalez ends up hitting it out, giving Cal Poly opportunity at the beginning of the second half.
Yeah, this is huge right here for Richie Garcia. Takes the kick, headed in, and I believe he found goal. Oh my goodness, yes. I do not see the offside flag anywhere. That should count as the equalizer.
And Kleinhamus does a fantastic job here, hunting the ball down. Great ball in. And Kleinhamus, you see him running towards the ball, all his momentum going towards goal. And what I love about this header is he hits it down. It's really hard for a keeper to get low quickly when they're coming across their goal. That's a great header in such a crucial time for a really important finish by Kleinhamus. Big time.
No question. That was only a minute and 19 seconds into the first half. It's tied just like that, 1-1. And Kleinhamus finds his second goal of the season, trailing only Tony Ruiz, who has the 3 goals and 2 assists to lead the Mustangs in both categories. This is Kleinhamus' first goal since September 5th against Houston Baptist here at home.
And what's interesting about both goals this match is they're both from lack of execution on each side. We see UC Riverside getting into the attack now.
Yes, trying to come right back, and he almost does so. That was on the shot. Andrew Alexander, who also had a very early scoring opportunity in the first half, couldn't quite cash that in, but a great stop by Gabe Penner and company for Cal Poly. Obviously trying to keep it tied, not wanting the Highlanders to gain the lead back, but here's Hernandez for the Highlanders, but he is offsides.
And UC Riverside with a really good response to the goal. You'll hear a lot of coaches talk about those 5 to 10 minutes after you concede a goal. What's the response? It's really important that you get that momentum back. And UC Riverside already increasing their pace into the attack. So it's going to be an interesting game for the rest of the second half.
No question. We probably do have some time to start going over some of the first half numbers. We just had the 1 yellow card, which came against Ori Bitton for Cal Poly in the 26th minute. That was for dissent after he thought there was a handball in the goal box. We couldn't see enough video evidence. That was Garcia going down, and he is fouled. Or actually, he ended up doing the foul. My mistake. It seemed like he had gone down to ground, but the referee definitely has the best view of what's going on, no question. Nice work by Body to win that back for Cal Poly on the near end. Triple teamed almost. But the Highlanders end up getting a throw out of it.
And if Cal Poly can keep isolating UC Riverside in certain parts of the field and get them stuck there, they're going to be able to keep disrupting the play and getting the ball moving into the attacking third.
UC Riverside in the first half led in shots 5-1. They led in corner kicks 5-1. Foul numbers about even. Highlanders with 9, Mustangs with 7 fouls. And both teams only used 3 first-half subs apiece. Leopoldo Hernandez, who scored that infamous goal last year against Cal Poly, came in as a sub. Klimas tried a header, and great block there from Ulmerson, UC Riverside's goal scorer on the night. But as we talked about briefly in the first half, it really comes down to, at the end of the day, to how many goals are scored, and certainly a great equalizer for Max Kleinhamus on an early second-half set piece. That is humongous for this young Mustang squad.
And the pace seems like it's turning up. It's getting a little bit more hectic for both teams. I'm curious to see which team, and especially which midfield, can bring that and settle it down and create more possession, because right now it's kind of feeling like an open game after that tying goal by Kleinhamus. It's just going back and forth between attacking thirds. So it's going to be interesting to see which team can really harness that energy and create a more sound attack.
Nice ball into the box from Solari, but nobody there to meet it. UC Riverside will get a goal kick now in the 51st minute of action.
And sometimes I'd like to see just a few extra passes in the attack for Cal Poly. Like that there, it's not really going towards anyone. There's not much they can do with that. For the runners that were already had made their runs, they didn't re-loop them, so no one was going to have a chance on a cross like that. If you can just have a few simple more passes, move UC Riverside around, and then get that really dangerous opportunity on net.
Promising touch there from Riverside's Baptista, broken up nicely by Cal Poly. It's back to the midfield. Leopoldo Hernandez gives it right back to the Mustangs. Lieber ahead to Solari, cutting outside. Eventually that's taken right back. Hernandez tries a counter. Beautiful give and go, but the Mustangs do well to boot that out of harm's reach. Alassane Al-Sakati, in his first start as a Mustang, played 37 of the 45 first half minutes. Showed a few promising moments, but not a lot of touches, all things considered. Still like the effort. Going to ground is Bitten. Certainly not shy about getting himself involved. You have to wonder how many more tumbles into the turf he can take, although this is not AstroTurf. It's new turf, so much different. Mustangs do nicely to, again, switch the field. Garcia couldn't quite keep possession, though. Throw in for the Highlanders. Hernandez a full 360. Fancy and now ahead up to Clark. He takes a tumble by the line, no call. And I believe that is correct. It seemed to be all ball there. That's not exactly what Bitten wanted to do on the Mustang side, trying to pass to a teammate. It goes right back to the Highlanders for a throw-in, and they play that fast. Osorio. Solari might want to have that back, and of course he doesn't feel like he's in the wrong, and they will give that as a free ball.
And it seems like that goal by Kleinhamus has given Cal Poly life, even defensively speaking. It seems like this front line is more involved for Cal Poly. They're pressing a bit more, and it's nice to see them with a bit more intensity right now.
You certainly see that from Kleinhamus trying to jump up in the air to stop that long ball, but Riverside's got it in the goal box. This is Lukic. He had some nice moments in the first half. Now Alexander shaken up, and Bitten does well for the Mustangs to get that over the far touchline.
And a beautiful team build-up play by UC Riverside there.
Alexander, long cross. That just goes over the crossbar, as you can see. Goal kick for Cal Poly coming up.
I appreciate the unselfishness of these UC Riverside players in the attack. Sometimes you want them to hog the ball a bit more if you do think they have a shot on goal, but I love that long ball in behind Colley. That was so well placed with a great pace so that his forward running on for UC Riverside could really get a hold of it.
What's really interesting about the Highlanders, if you look at their past results so far in 2022, in a lot of ways it actually mirrored Cal Poly's start to the season. Riverside only had the one non-conference win. It came back against St. Thomas at home on August 28th. That was only the second match of the year. All of the other results were losses and a couple of draws. Then they get into conference play. Some shoving going on, but not much.
And UC Riverside has struggled scoring multiple goals in a game. I believe it's only one game this season they've scored more than one goal. So if Cal Poly can at least get a tie or get a win today, that's going to be good for them. For UC Riverside, I'm sure that's a focus. They're coming off 2 wins finally, but they've got to keep learning how to continue to score and up the ante on how many goals they're getting a game.
That is correct, Grace. Azorio with the ball into the 18. It's passed backwards, Hernandez. It was only that St. Thomas win where they scored more than one goal a game. That was a 4-1 victory. And on the year, Riverside only has 3 scored goals in the second half. Pass by Seha, intercepted. And the Mustangs now try a counterattack. Ocean Solari on the run. Ahead to Kleinhamus, but too far. Kleinhamus still trying to sprint, and Gonzalez clears it out for UC Riverside.
And those are those passes that I'm talking about in the attacking third when I'm saying the Cal Poly attackers aren't setting each other up for success. They've got to find ways to link more. Find each other's feet if needed. If it's going to go in behind, place it in the right spot. Something they've struggled with this season.
Yeah, both of UC Riverside's conference victories were 1-0 victories. Against UC Davis at home, 1-0 on October 1st, and then against UC San Diego on the road on the 5th of this month. Solari's on the right sideline. Tries a pass to Garcia, intercepted right away by the Highlanders. And they try a counter. Seha, that's broken up by Connor Lieber. For the Mustangs, more pushing, that's a big one. No question of foul.
Definitely a foul by Lieber here, but he is working so hard. He's sprinting into the attack, sprinting back, and it's great to see such hustle out of a Cal Poly player. And this is a player who wasn't captain, one of the captains coming into the beginning of this season, who recently in the last few games, Coach Sampson awarded him with that captain badge, and you can see it in the effort he's putting in both offensively and defensively.
Very well deserved. I was here in person in the eventual loss to UC Santa Barbara here at home, and Lieber was very active. Of course, when you have over 10,000 people in the seats, you're going to see more of that anyway because of that added factor with a near-capacity crowd. But Lieber was still one of the more active players in that game despite the eventual loss. Leopoldo Hernandez for Riverside, more pushing both ways. That's a nice tackle on the ground for the Mustangs, Owen Butcher. And that's more of a frustration foul for Hernandez, frustrated that that attack got broken up. But that is exactly to your point, Grace. Again, Lieber gets himself involved and shows why he's the captain. Ruiz ahead to Kleinhamus, and they will whistle a foul. We may have a few dissenters that traveled up from Riverside complaining to the head referee, but that will indeed be a free kick in the midfield for the home side.
Definitely deserved. Feels like UC Riverside is upping the intensity on their physical play right now.
Ruiz does have some room to back up. By the touchline, you can see the hand is up in the air. Now it's down. And he does loft that into the box. Lots of distance. Lieber can't get to it. A nice foot anyway, though. Kleinhamus tries again for a second goal. Swing and a miss. And the Highlanders' defense gets it into the stands. Lots of pop off the boot of Tony Ruiz.
We get a look back at it now. I love the way that that ball has almost no bend. It's a straight ball in. It goes too far, but it still allows his team to get on the ball. Kleinham is going for an acrobatic side volley there. Doesn't quite be able to make contact, though.
Andrew McGee is in for the Mustangs as Lieber gets set to throw from the near touchline. Gets it into almost the 6, and a shot from distance. Richie Garcia not quite on target. You like the idea, though, and they say that went off of the Riverside defender, so that turns into a corner kick, just the second of this match for the Mustangs.
And Garcia there looked visibly disappointed for not being able to finish this. Has a great strike, allows that ball to drop enough to get a good contact on the ball, and UC Riverside not able to clear it up and out there, giving Garcia that scoring opportunity.
Garcia on the corner, ending the 60th minute, but right in the hands of the keeper Gonzalez for the Highlanders. Well done on his part. Quick throw starts the counterattack. Baptista ahead to Hernandez. Give and go. Baptista back with the ball. Great double team right on it, though. That'll break it up for the moment. Hernandez, though, recovers. And now it's on the edge of the box to Clark, but cleared away by the Mustangs center backs. Again, for UC Riverside, it was Fremar Omarson who scored the first goal in the 35th minute, off of a header. Cal Poly eventually found the equalizer 1 minute and 19 seconds out of the halftime break. Max Kleinhamus got his second goal of the year, and that was a try for a shot from distance for Riverside's Alexander. That was off of the head of Bowdy for the Mustangs, and now this will turn into a Highlander corner kick. Clark with a hand down. Kick on the way. At the far post, header try, and then a missed touch. The Cal Poly defense gets it out.
That was a great ball in by Clark. The amount of pace he had on it set up his teammates to be able to either redirect it back across goal or shoot.
Oh, Kleinhamus almost had a chance to get off to the races behind the back line on side, but Riverside did well to get it away from him. Now a whistle. That is offsides.
In this game feels like it can be won in the miscues. Both teams offering opportunities for the other team off miscues, off missed passes, and it feels like a goal could be coming in these last 30 minutes off one team just unable to have that final execution.
We've only had a couple of offsides calls so far in the evening, but if the pace picks up, you can sometimes see a lot more of those, with some of the attackers willing to take more chances, try to time their runs past the back line. Penner way out of the box. Mustang keeper gets it into the attacking half. That is off of a UC Riverside head. Throw in Mustangs, and they will bring in a sub here. This is Drew Patterson coming back in. Sophomore out of Cranford, New Jersey, transferred from Marist College. He replaces Kleinhamus, the goal scorer, who gets a well-deserved rest after the equalizer. Kleinhamus a sub in this match. Patterson did play in the first half, total of 8 minutes. That touch too far over the goal line, and a goal kick for Riverside.
Coach Sampson will be happy with Kleinhamus scoring such a big-time goal in this game. And it wasn't just scoring, it brought the energetics back for Cal Poly. It seems like possession-wise it's been more equal since the goal. Defensively, Cal Poly's had more stuck-in tackles since the goal, so it really ignited the team, that Kleinhamus goal.
We'll see if Riverside continues to respond as well as they have. They've certainly had some positive moments since the goal was scored. Here, Hernandez draws a foul. Mustangs win it in the midfield. Butcher.
And Cal Poly, they're really executing on that press. It's putting pressure on this UC Riverside team, not making it so easy for them to build out of the back.
Ruiz trying to keep it in play, goes down hard. They play on Solari, now on the edge of the goal line, cuts backwards. Still has it. Impressive footwork right there. One defender still cutting in. Now finally ahead. They try a cross into Patterson. A little too far, but Patterson gets on the ball nonetheless here in the 65th minute. The Mustangs trying to go ahead for the first time in the match. Still with the ball, Patterson. And the Mustangs will look to reset and keep possession going their way.
And Solari, so good on the dribble, does really good there, keeping the ball on his foot and setting up his teammate.
Andrew McGee off the bench. Nice flick ahead to the line for Lieber, who was trying to cut up with the midfielders, and that goes off of the Highlanders last. Once more, McGee. Inside pass. Middle of the field is Bowdy, and his touch blocked. Now going the other side, Diago Baptista. Intercepted by Bowdy for Cal Poly, getting back nicely on the defense, but the Mustangs give the ball right back. Left flank, it's Lukic. Definitely a thorn on the Mustang defender's side here, and now he appears to force a deflection. Yes, he does. Corner kick, UC Riverside coming from the far corner flag. Lukic came off the bench and definitely was a spark at times. Another sub, Hernandez, will take this corner. Definitely some bend to it and some contact in front of the far post, past the far post, and after it's all said and done, the Mustangs will just get a goal kick.
And it's hard when you're sending the corner far past the far post, unless you're doing that intentionally in a play to have a redirect header back towards goal for your teammate. I'm guessing there's just a mishit by Hernandez. You want your team to get opportunities when you're in the attacking third. If you're having a corner or a free kick or a shot in the attacking third, you want to make sure that you're getting a shot on goal, making Cal Poly have to make saves.
The Highlanders do have two subs at the bench ready to check in at the next opportunity. Lukic. Hernandez for the Highlanders, still with the ball, past a couple defenders. A bit of a late whistle on the foul, but called nonetheless. No advantage.
And I'd like to see for UC Riverside players pop off the ball for Hernandez. Hernandez does really good to beat that first defender and then sometimes gets caught up with that second and third defender. If he can shake and shimmy that first defender off like he does so well, and then these UC Riversides pop off in spaces for him, I think they'll have more success. 6
assists on the year, Leopoldo Hernandez, to lead the Highlanders. He certainly has the ability. The leading goal scorer on this year is Noah Lopez with 4 goals. Free kick into the box, one bounce, headed backwards, and jumping up to make the stop is Penner. Excellent work by him. Bowdy for Cal Poly. Uses a deflection to send it sky high. No handball, but a push nonetheless. That appears to be called on Azorio for UC Riverside.
And what I like about what Garcia does there is even with that pressure, he's slowing the game down a little bit, and that's what we need to see from this Cal Poly midfield. Holds that pressure, able to get a free kick in a really dangerous area, especially with Ruiz over the top of the ball right now.
And it is indeed Ruiz who will take this free kick. We've already seen that he can launch it. Mustangs have about 6 players right on the 18-yard line. Here comes Ruiz, sends it into the middle. One touch. Goes over the goal line, and they say it was off of the Highlanders. We will get a corner kick. Garcia takes this one short, plays to McGee. Came off the bench, did not play in the first half. Ahead on the header to Bowdy. Eventually the Highlanders clear on the far end. Patterson tangled up. Still trying to battle for the ball. And Riverside does well to win that in the midfield. Here they come. They set it up for Clark. Ahead to Hernandez. Watch the shot. Nice stop by Penner. He happened to be in the right spot, right in the middle of the goal mouth.
And that's a high-quality play there by Hernandez. He takes a touch and spins around it to create his shot. Unfortunately, it goes directly at Gabe Penner there for Cal Poly. But that's high quality. Ideally, as an attacker, your touch is immediately setting you up for a shot. We get a good look, a beautiful little chip in for him. Able to turn completely. Unfortunately, turns his hips too much, which sends it straight towards the keeper. So he over adjusts there. But a better look here for UC Riverside.
It really is amazing how slight differences in the hip turns can sometimes affect where the ball goes.
Oh, definitely in shooting especially. It's going to either create where it's on goal or all the way around it often.
So finally the Highlander subs are allowed to check in. This will be Issa Badawiya and Oscar Panade, two of the Riverside starters. They're going to come on for Osorio and Baptista. We are now in the 71st minute of play. It's all tied up 1-1. Riverside scored first again in the first half, courtesy of the header from Fremar Omerson in the 35th minute. Max Kleinhamus for Cal Poly came right back and equalized it in the 47th minute off a corner kick.
And Cal Poly has come out completely different in this second half.
No question.
They didn't look so awake in the first half, not nearly as gritty in the defense, and second half has been a completely different game for them.
The Mustangs also have brought in a sub of their own. Sean McTagg is on the pitch. Freshman forward out of Mission Viejo. The Mustangs briefly had an opportunity as Patterson was trying to shoot from distance, had that blocked and a foul called on the home side. Colley back to the keeper, Penner. That's out of bounds past the near touchline. It'll be a Highlander throw. Nice give and go try. Badawiya goes down, they play on. Alexander into the box, close to the goal line, and the double team does a great job for the Mustangs.
Garcia there doing a great job on some help coverage defender running across the field. But for UC Riverside, I like that build-up play. They seem to be having success just taking it up the gut, right up the center of the pitch.
Yellow card, by the way, has come out. We'll just try to get confirmation on who this was on. It is on Cal Poly. And it's just a question of what the number is. It's on Ruiz. Couldn't quite see what was going on with Ruiz. I imagine it was too much pushing and the ref had just seen enough of it. No header from Patterson, but Ruiz lofts in a long ball. They try to find McTagg. One of those long balls, again, not quite working out the way the Mustangs wanted them to. The ball's on the ground again, though. Going down to ground was Garcia. And the Highlanders do well to defend. They switch the field. Alexander now up to Panade, who lofts it inside to the opposite part of the box. Lieber just watches it go out for the Mustangs. Does well to also cut off the Highlander who was trying to save the ball and keep it in play. Patterson this time making contact with the header. Good job from Eric Cabrera Trujillo, and not exactly the best clearance from Penner, but he does clear it nonetheless.
And the pass was just a little bit slow in pace there, so it made it sketchy for Penner to be able to clear that ball with the pressure coming on.
Yeah, excellent point there. You do have more pressure, and with that you do have to settle for sometimes less than ideal clearances. The Highlanders still trying to get the ball inside the box. Cal Poly doing well to disrupt that plan. Lukic can't quite win it against Garcia, but the Highlanders midfield still winning a lot of balls. Long shot off of the goal mouth. Penner easily stops it for Cal Poly.
An interesting idea there. Not totally a fan of that. If he has the quality, I haven't seen him score goals like that this season. I would like to see UC Riverside create better scoring opportunities building in, because they're creating opportunities, but not all of them are demanding Cal Poly to step up to make big-time saves.
We now have less than 15 minutes left in regulation. Again, no more overtime in college soccer, so if it stays 1-1, it will count as a draw. And the Mustangs will make a change here. Coming in is Clausen. Yes, it's Isaac Clausen, who's a freshman forward out of Reykjavik, Iceland. Certainly we've had some Scandinavian representation, if you will, on the Wings roster from time to time. Simon Bohm, a remarkable goalkeeper, came out of Denmark. And there's Clausen trying to battle for a header. Lieber for the Mustangs finally switches the field out to Bowdy, back to the middle of the pitch, but it's broken up by the Riverside D. One back nicely on the ground by McGee. McGee's played a large majority of the second half after not coming on at all as a sub in the first half. Foul now whistled on Ruiz. Alexander. Now Hernandez, some room to operate. He'll try switching the field. Hernandez. Now Lukic. Broken up right by the Mustangs defense on the 18. Nice work. McTagg tries to get out to the races. He's got space past the defender. McTagg still going, cutting inside. And finally, Riverside gets a boot on it. Bright idea, though.
The counterattack is going to continue to be on with the 3-back for UC Riverside, so I like that Cal Poly went to hit that.
Panade for the Highlanders, back the other way. Alexander tries a shot that almost got in. Just slotted it past the far post. That was the idea, to just slot it in, and it missed by about a foot or two.
And it feels like UC Riverside is getting closer and closer to getting some shots on goal. We get a good look back at it now. That's in if he just has it a few inches to the right. Looks like he had Penner beat. Penner was more towards his near post. And some better build-up play for UC Riverside in moments here.
Yeah, looking back at the replay, you're right, Grace. It was more a difference of inches rather than feet. Not much of a miss right there. Goal kick from Penner. Nobody in the box. That was a header from Lukic for UC Riverside. Foul is now called on the Mustangs. Really, with 11 minutes left in the second half, there's only so many more scoring opportunities for both sides here.
And for Cal Poly, this is an unfortunate error here because this is a good opportunity for UC Riverside that they're allowing them to have by fouling at this part of the field.
So Hernandez and Clark by the ball. Clark will take it with the left boot. In with a header and over the goal line. Another Mustang goal kick. And it appears that we will see a handful of Cal Poly subs coming in a moment. Here's the replay.
And a pretty decent bending ball in there, but just unable to get enough. You want to hit that ball at the high point. So as soon as it gets lower, it's harder to head with a lot of power. If you can rise over the defenders and hit it at the high point, it's going to be easier to score and get on net.
Header from Lieber for the Mustangs. Right back in the air. Oof. Lots of contact. But we play on. Panade for the Highlanders. Still trying to go. And that is kicked to the opposite direction by Cabrera Trujillo for Cal Poly. He's had some good moments on the defensive end. Butcher's initial clearance blocked, but he'll try to pass up. Can't quite make the connection to Clausen. Panade cutting outside. Broken up. It goes out of bounds. They say a throw in Cal Poly. And now we will have the subs coming on. 3 in total. First one is Ori Bitten replacing McGee. Then we have Solari coming in for Clausen. And Klein Hammis will replace Sean McTagg. So really, that's the Mustangs exchanging the 3 forwards near the top of the pitch. And we'll see if the guys right off the bench with the fresher legs can make an impact.
And it looks like number 30, Ruiz, for Cal Poly is pushing really high right now. Most games before this, he's played defensive mid. This game, we expected to see him from talking to Coach Sampson attacking, but he's on that front line, so it looks like they're pushing him higher with these last minutes of the game.
And remember, Ruiz has scored 3 goals in his last 3 matches. This is a chance for him to extend the streak and be a hero. Throw in Cal Poly further up the pitch on the attacking side. No question about it. Steve Sampson never wants to settle for a draw if he can help it. He prefers the 3 points. Every point you can get in the Big West, so huge.
And I think he'll be happier with this second half presentation from his team.
Yeah, high energy guy. Loves to see the same kind of energy from his players. It definitely picked up in the second half compared to the first. Long throw from Lieber. Headed right out by the Highlanders, though. Chip shot from Colley, back in the box. This is dangerous. One bounce, it heads it right by the goal mouth. And the Highlanders eventually get in front of it, and a player is down. That is the goal scorer for UC Riverside, Fremar Omarsson. That's some nice sportsmanship by Cal Poly to try to get a head on his shoulder before he's booted out. And the clock is stopped with the injury timeout.
And we get a look back at the replay here. Over the back line, it's a good ball in. Gonzalez, the keeper for UC Riverside, ends up in no man's land. The whole net was wide open. Unfortunate for Cal Poly. The ball wasn't able to bounce in a way that they could get a foot on it. But that's a good, dangerous ball in right there.
No question. It looked like Omarsson got caught up with Cabrera Trujillo right there. There may have been a foot involved.
And you never want to see your keeper out of the goal without the ball, without making any contact on the ball there.
I have to get confirmation on this. They may have gotten Kleinhamus with a yellow card on the break. Certainly if someone goes down like that and you have to stop the clock, you almost have to give the benefit of the doubt to the referee on that one.
Things are heating up here for both sides, though. I won't be surprised if we see a goal in these final 8 minutes by either side. Both sides finding ways to get opportunities near goal.
Just over 7 minutes remaining in this match, all tied at 1-1. It's been like this since the 47th minute when Max Kleinhamus equalized for Cal Poly. Riverside scored in the first half off of Omerson. And ahead is Badawia for UC Riverside, but that is again stopped by Cal Poly's Cabrera Trujillo. Kleinhamus back on his feet. Highlanders having trouble clearing. Kleinhamus still the ball. We play on. And finally, the Highlanders do enough to stop the counter, courtesy of Omerson, who is still on the pitch, okay enough to continue. But unfortunately, Hernandez cannot control the ball, and the Mustangs will have a throw.
And the game feels hectic right now. Both teams hustling hard. Balls getting passed around, and it's getting really physical.
Physical, no doubt. No foul called on some contact that Cal Poly's Solari took. So the Highlanders trying to slow the pace down a little bit, reestablish the possession game. They're trying to attack. Lukic cutting inside the box, and that is a nice tackle all ball to stop Lukic from coming in. Looks like that was Butcher on the stop. It does surrender a corner kick to the Highlanders, but again, positive defense.
And that was a great leading ball there for Badawia. I like the way that pace just held up perfectly for him to get on the run.
Looks like it'll be Badawia himself to take this corner.
Correction number 10, Issa Badawia, corner kick.
Mustangs have to be solid here. At the far post, that is a nice header from Bowdy. And the ping pong does not work out for the Highlanders, not even close to the goal mouth. Still enough time for Cal Poly to come up the pitch with the ball off this goal kick and take the lead here.
And for UC Riverside, watching film on this game when it's over, they've got to make more of the opportunities they're getting. They're doing so good at getting into the attacking third with this beautiful passing, but they're not creating dangerous enough chances on goal.
That was very interesting. Clearly there was a foul called. The whistle, I could not hear it, and you see one of the players picking up the ball, and they're normally not supposed to do that, but nonetheless, here we are, and the Highlanders again try to get another scoring opportunity. They will try to also to keep the Mustangs from possessing again. Hernandez. They'll switch the field again, but too high for Badawia. They give the ball back to the Mustangs in the 86th minute. Long throw from Lieber. Well done. And Solari has some room. That goes ahead now to Ruiz. The latest goal scorer. He cannot find Solari, though, on the pass. Solari might have been trying to draw a foul there, but the referee wasn't buying it. Panade for the Highlanders. Less than 4 minutes remaining. Badawia almost got a couple defenders and intercepted by Cal Poly's Cabrera Trujillo. Test for Penner. He does clear. Header from Vukovic, part of the Riverside back line. Head to Solari. He will win a throw. Lieber trying to go quick to Kleinhamus. Right idea. Does either player touch it? I don't believe so. Goal kick for the Highlanders. That is a dangerous long ball. Great job by the 6'4" Cabrera Trujillo to get in. That is height. That is using height to your advantage, no question. Alexander, inside cut. And the ball is behind Badawia. Another break for the Mustangs. But they're starting to run out of time. Less than 2.5 minutes to go in regulation. No overtime anymore.
And unfortunate for UC Riverside because they had some really beautiful build-up play again, but just in that attacking third, you need the final execution.
Still trying to operate on the far side. They're working with Badawia. He's double-teamed again, and Cabrera Trujillo keeps making positive plays for the Mustangs. The question is, will it be enough to eventually lead to a very late goal? Kleinhamus not able to control. That is well done by Meade Tatum for UC Riverside, using his entire body to draw the foul. And the Highlanders can use some clock here, setting up the free kick.
And this is a massive moment for Cal Poly. They've got to at least get the tie today. They cannot let this become a goal.
Long ball from Lukic. Penner punches it out. Badawia's there, sends it back in. There's a header. Make it 2 headers, and it does find the lower right of the net. Goal for UC Riverside. They're in the 90th minute, less than a minute left in regulation, and they take the lead back. Penner cannot believe it. He is upset.
And Lukic with the massive big-time header in the final minutes of the game. In Cal Poly, the trend continues. They're letting these goals in late in the game, not able to close out games. I mean, that's a great header right there. He has that calm presence, puts it into the corner. A beautiful chip ball again. And an open player originally there. A late tackle coming in on him and a great finish.
Luka Lukic, first goal of 2022. Sophomore from Serbia. Has been a thorn on the Mustangs' side all game long coming off the bench. They've kept him in, and rightly so. Wow.
And that's a huge goal for them in conference play.
So the Mustangs have less than a minute to at least draw the game and get a point. Highly unlikely, but they will try everything possible. Butcher. Now ahead to Solari. Solari now in the attacking third. All the way to the goal line, off of Riverside. This is a corner for the Mustangs. They do have to hurry a bit, though. Even Penner's coming into the box. No surprise there. You see it all the time. Quick corner. This is it. Header just from the back. It's a goal to tie it up 2-2. What a moment. Oh, my goodness.
And I
the crowd on their feet at Spanos.
May have been Kleinhamus, but wow, what a response by Cal Poly here in the last seconds of the game to get a finish. It's so big time.
You really couldn't have scripted that any better. First they get the long ball out to the edge. They win the corner. They take it quickly, and everything went right. And it rarely ever does in this beautiful game.
It looks
like that
Kleinhamus.
Is Kleinhamus. Second goal of the night.
And what a huge game for him. 2 header goals, both going directly towards the ground. It's so hard to defend as a keeper. And he's stepping into himself in this game.
Less than 15 seconds left. It's off the head of one of the Mustang defenders for Lieber. Riverside has to hurry. Here comes the throw. Header right into the hands of Penner. And that will do it.